Hey, welcome to another stream of Lyrebird Edits. Thank you for everyone over at Discord for being patient with me while we sorted out the times. It's always good to get like a sense of whether people want to stick around and do it live or if they want to do the replay. And there's always going to be no way to satisfy everyone too, just because of the time zones. So again, thank you for playing along. So good morning, Clem. And we're editing your story today. Thank you for staying up. If you need to leave at any time, please feel free to. I don't want to chew into your sleep. We'll only be editing, I think, for about an hour and a half today as well. I'm going to be pushing till about 11 my time, and then maybe a little further. But I've got to go and meet a friend. So if you need to leave at any time, absolutely no worries. We'll just sort of get into the swing of it, and away we go. Echu streamu. Oh gosh. Oh gosh. The title was a mistake. It's the English language's Miyazaki moment. That's right, yes, business land. The very important business people being into. Excuse me, I gotta take this business call. Good old business land. Alrighty. Well, why don't we just jump straight in? Because I don't need to wait around for people to come, because you're all here! And I can check that, because I can peep in the... Hello GTLACC, great, now we can definitely start. Yeah. I can't see that emoticon, hang on. Oh yeah, now I can, good. What does Punoko mean? What does it sort of represent in a little nutshell? I think it's like a little annoyance, like... What do you call those things? They're not hashtags. Have I picked out a favorite meme yet? Yes, I have. I think there is a clear winner. Again, I can find it. Hang on. I think it's the Drake one. That says so much. Maybe because it has the most words on it. I'm always really partial to who would win, X versus Y. I like that one. The Thai political meme one is so specific, but it works in so many different contexts. And there are minions there, so I kind of have to give that bronze medal. So I think they're my top three. But I mean the others are very close behind as well. It's hard to rank memes. Difficult. What do you even tiddler's map? Yeah, no, I'm not gonna be baited, okay? Personally, I really like tiddles. I just tills, not tiddles. What am I saying? Oh dear, sounds like I'm saying something else. But don't think too deep into it. Let's focus on the edit. We're gonna start right now with tildes, Tildes, tild, not tiddle. I always thought it was tiddle because of things like, do you remember that game called Tiddlywinks? It's a game you play with like little coloured tokens. I have no idea how it works, but anyway, doesn't matter. A secret hidden among them. Like stills. Oh no! It is forever imprinted onto the video archives of YouTube. Oh dear. When the androids go through in the future and they look through all of humankind's vast records of just YouTube and blogs, and they try and figure out who to digitally resurrect, they'll look at my videos and they'll go, yeah, you know what, we don't need that. We don't need the guy who likes tiddles. And it's like, no, it's me beyond the grave. It's like, it's tildes, I didn't pronounce it properly. But no, it'd be too late. Let's start reading. I'm keen to start editing. Okay, so this is Clem's story that remind me, Clem, is this a derivative of Murphy's Law? Like, is this like a different sort of starting base that you're going from, or is this a different story? But you guys may remember Clem sent over a story called Murphy's Law a while back, which was about a woman and her dog in this post-apocalyptic sort of setting. But it was really focused through the dog, which was an interesting perspective to take. So I guess we'll see what happens. Yep, that's it. That's it, TTLATC. It's the tiny little plastic circles, right? Same story, yes, cool. Nice one. Ooh, going through a rewrite. Okay, great. Well, let's start. The day 2020. The cruiser pulled up next to the curve, the black and white paint shining in the sunshine. Heat radiated off the back of the car, causing the air around it to shift and morph into strange shapes. That's a mirage, she thought. That's the same as the thing you see on the road in hot days. She turned her head to the right and stared down at a long, straight road that led into the desert. Either side of the black road was beige-coloured sand, with rocks and stones scattered along it for miles. Above the road was a shimmering light distorting the air as she looked at it. A mirage, she thought. It's a mirage. The driver's side door opened noisily, pulling her away from her thoughts. A moment later, a police officer climbed out of the car. His black shirt was clinging to his rotund stomach, covered in sweat, and his blue pants were too tight for his thighs. Dark shades covered his eyes and framed his square face. With both of his hands resting on his utility belt, he walked over to the girl, curled up on the curb. He towered over her, a shady beast in a bright world of blue and yellow. "What you doing here?" he asked. "What's your name, girl?" She was only wearing shorts and a tank top, her pale skin barely covered in the blaring sunshine. As she looked up to him, the bright light caused her eyes to squint. Slowly, she sat up on the curb and brought her knees to her chest, wrapping her arms around her legs. Every inch of her skin screamed out in agony as she moved, her burned skin cracking and splitting apart. Tammy Lynn Long," she replied. Her voice rasped, her throat parched. "Tammy Lynn," the cop repeated, chuckling. "Can I call you Tammy? Can you get away from the road for a sec, please, Tammy?" "Call me Trip," she said. T-R-I-P-P. Not wanting to stand. That's a really cool title, by the way. I really like this when I saw it. Not wanting to stand up, Trip shuffled away. That's a great name. Shuffled away from the edge of the road on her ass. Behind her was a nail salon. She leaned her back against the brick wall and spread her legs out onto the sidewalk. The stone sidewalk slabs burned the backs of her legs, but she was too exhausted to move them. The cop knelt down beside her and looked her over. Red, peeling patches of skin covered her shoulders, legs, and arms. What he could see of her face was much of the same, especially her sloped nose and small forehead. "What you doing out here?" he asked gently. "What you doing out here?" "Are you okay?" "I'm fine," Trip mumbled. "I'm waiting." "Waiting for what?" Trip shook her head, the whole world spinning around her. "Nothing, just my friend. He was supposed to pick me up." "All right," said the cop gently. "When was he supposed to pick you up? How long have you been waiting?" Trip's throat started to scratch. She tried to swallow, but failed, her mouth like sandpaper. "You got any water?" "Tell me how long you've been out here," the cop said. "I'll give you your water then." Steal it at knife point. We're gonna have a feud here. A chat feud. Very nice. How long is this in total? I'll pick a point to stop. 2.3k. Okay. I'll read a bit more. Trip tried to think. She rubbed her dirty, cracked hands over her face and tucked her fingers through her knotted, frizzed red hair. Eventually, she looked at the cop and shrugged. "I don't know," she said quietly. "He was supposed to get me at 11 Friday morning. What time is it?" The cop frowned. "It's Sunday afternoon, Tammy." "Sunday?" Trip asked, feeling her chest tighten around her lungs. "No," she said sadly. "No, he wouldn't leave me here." Let's get you in the cruiser in the shade, and we can get you home," the cop said, reaching his hand out to her. Trip stared up to him as the panic rose up inside her. He was going to put her in the cruiser. "No," she said harshly. "No, I'm not getting in." The cop sighed. "I just want to get you home," he said gently. "You're burned up. You can sit out here in this heat. You can't sit out here in this heat." He paused, looking her over. "You're in El Paso. You know that, right? It's hot here." With your skin, the cop inhaled through his mouth, the air hissing through his teeth. "Lady, you're gonna die out here." Tripp knew what she needed to do. There was no time to waste either. She jumped up to her feet, using the wall behind her to steady herself. And then she ran. The cop wasn't expecting it, so she had a few seconds head start on him. That wasn't a lot, though. He was chasing her already, sprinting after her, with all the stuff in his utility belt jingling and jangling. Tripp had the advantage of less weight and less equipment, but she was also dehydrated and exhausted. Her thin legs could barely carry her, and her tired arms couldn't swing. She wasn't running, not really. It was more of a quick hobble. She couldn't remember the last time she'd had a meal or anything to drink, or a proper night's sleep. It didn't take long for her head to start to swim, and her legs to turn to jelly. Everything was spinning out of control, whizzing past her in uneven circles, over and over and over, until everything went dark. And I'm going to stop there. With this teaser sentence down here that you can see. Yeah, we'll see. Actually, I wonder if I'll be able to. I'm gonna call it a little. Yeah, this will be about a 2-hour stream today. I think that's what Cheap Gently's gonna be. We'll get to those. Okay, cool. So we've got a nice setup here. We've got a character interacting with a cop. We've got a somewhat well-established setting. What are my impressions of it so far? Two things. Of course, like the dialogue tags, those gentlies, which is just so there's one gently. How many gentlies have we encountered? Just want to double check. 3. Okay, cool. But to your credit, they're all in the top section, so you don't repeat it later on. Yeah, so we can find ways to make sure that we don't end up repeating, like, character X said, comma, emotion, or said the cop smoothly or gently. Like, I think the LY stuff weighs down the dialogue tags, and we can find other ways to put exactly the same information in. What else to comment on? There's a great opportunity to ground the scene, I think. I like how it starts with the cop coming and our main character mistaking it for a mirage. I think there's a point at which we want up front to get more information about Tammy's physical situation. In some sense, you sort of want to put it first so that your reader, upon introduction to Tammy, okay, let me put it this way. When I was reading through the top part of his story, I thought Tammy was just standing by the side of the road, watching things come and go. But then the more we read into it, the more we discover her debilitated state. A part of me just wants to suggest, right at the front, putting it in the reader's mind just how debilitated Tripp is. I love that name, by the way. It's really, really cool. I want to steal it, but I won't, because that's immoral. And also there's a record of me saying I want to steal it. So, yes. If you're going to steal something, don't record yourself saying you're going to steal something. That's my pro tip for this edit. But in all seriousness, the image that we have of Tripp, I feel, could be better served if it was like straight up front. She's dehydrated, she's peeling, her mouth feels like sandpaper, she needs water, and from this unholy physical mess that she's in, she sees the cruiser come in. This really establishes this sort of power dynamic as well early on, with the cop and the girl who's on the verge of, not death, but she's in a bad way. What we also avoid is things like, she was only wearing shorts and a tank top, her pale skin barely covered in the blaring sunshine. So the first question I had from this, as somebody who lives in a very hot country, with very pasty skin, I'm not too pasty, I'm not all that pasty, but yeah, we're very conscious of the sun in Australia. So my first thought with this was, oh, is she burnt? Um, in which case you sort of want to skip the pale description and just go like, she was only wearing shorts and a tank top, and her like, oh, you can say things like her once pale skin like sizzled in the glaring sunshine, and that would imply that it's sunburnt, and then that immediately sets up her physical condition. So I guess that's my sort of biggest comment. I think the dialogue is fairly good. You get the sense that the cop isn't out to get her, that he's sympathetic. There's a great image of the police officer too, which was dealt with here. So his black shirt was clinging to his rotund stomach, covered in sweat, and his blue pants were too tight for his thighs. So we've got some physical descriptions here, but it's a particular sort of cop style description, isn't it? Dark shades, square face. It's good that, like, if you mention tiny details with the shades and the square face and the fact that he's a bit fat, that can really sort of cement in the reader's mind like a base image, and then they can add their own flavor to it, and from their assumptions about what a police officer looks like, they can construct the image themselves. So it's good to do that. That's really nicely done. Okay, cool. So let's go back and do the line edit, and I'll catch up with chat as well. I'll loop up. 2 hour streams for a normal stream. Yep, fair. Yep. I don't know what I was going for there. Sorry, I'm gonna put my socks on. It's cold. I don't know when it got so cold. It's like mid to late autumn now. June, July, August. Oh my goodness, it's nearly the end of what's the season we're in now? We're in autumn. Fall. And we've had a really weird autumn. It kind of dragged into like 5 months of summer, and then all of a sudden, bam, just really cold weather. So, yeah, I'm cold. It's the long and short of that. Yes, TDLSEC. It's one of my regular 2 hour streams. I don't know what I was thinking of. Some streams go for about 3 hours usually. Sorry, excuse me. I've lost a pad to my headphone. Where did that go? Yeah. I was sitting on it. I think the streams I've been doing recently have been going for about 3 hours. Last stream was very long. She's high on meth. Okay, that's good to know. Still didn't know. Yeah, exactly. It's a North American cop. And they're really typical sort of characters. Yeah, but different from Australian and UK police. Very different. The cracklers come for you. Yeah, my phone's 4G signal, or a supernatural entity. We'll wait and see what's gonna come and eat me. Very clever, Sayaka. No story should have padding. Ha 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 ha. Get rid of that pad. But it's also pretty essential, because otherwise my headphones, this padding, not padding between the brain, hopefully, but the padding that makes my earphones comfortable. It's hard wearing earphones without padding. Okay, cool. Well, let me suggest a couple of things then. That's a good little you had the hint of it here at the front. Let's focus on this first before we go back into like the line by line stuff. So, heat radiated off the back of the car, causing the air around it to shift and morph into strange shapes. That's a mirage you thought. It's the same as the thing you see on the road on hot days. She sounds here like she's in a bit of a delirium, but it's a light delirium. It's like a like the kind of delirium you have if you're dehydrated. If you want her to be coming down off a meth high, methamphetamines aren't hallucinogens. They're what's the class of drug that they fall under? I don't think it's that word. Um, Stimulant, sorry, that's the word I was going for. It's a okay, from a government website, the symptoms of meth are euphoria, confidence, alertness, energy, repetitive motor function, like scratching or like sort of running your fingers along your arm. That can get pretty serious. You can, if it reacts badly with you, you can break the skin. Dilated pupils, dry mouth, that's one of them. Teeth grinding, excessive sweating, fast heart rate, breathing, reduced appetite, increased sex drive. And then you get into the serious stuff if you start to OD, like extreme aggression. Don't do this drug, okay? Like there's no yeah. Ice is messed up. It's really nasty. It's not as nasty as things like the designer drugs, which have undocumented effects, or PCP, which has some weird side effects, like people have been attracted to eating roadkill after dosing on PCP. Oh, and trying to eat people's faces. That's right. It's a weird drug. Don't do PCP. Don't do ice either. Ice is really really nasty. Very addictive. Makes you very aggressive. If you push the dose up on it. Even if you don't, it can really react with you. Yeah. I don't know. They're just some really lame drugs. But I mean, you know, that's a whole other issue of why people choose to take drugs. Yes. Gave me a sex drive. TTLCC, there are better ways to get your sex drive up. Like reading a book, like going to your local library and picking up litter off the ground. That's the only high you need. You don't need meth. I imagine doing all three of those things on meth would also not be too fun. I don't know, like maybe you probably wouldn't want to read a book if you were high on meth. Anyway, so yeah, now that we've got like an idea of what the symptoms are, the dry throat and the dehydration is definitely one of them. It really depends on how, like, if they're coming down from the high or if they're in the middle of it, and that's up to Clem to decide, I think. But she said, I'm going for a really out of it, disorientated viewpoint. Oh yeah, that's right, with my green story with the psychedelics. Yeah. Sometimes when I'm writing fantasy, I want to emulate what it's like to have an LSD trip. Not that I've had one myself, but the sort of imagery and the color and the unreal flexible nature of reality is what I like to emulate in some styles of my fantasy writing. So that's useful. Like the drugged out perspective can be useful for that too. Oh, thank you, Clem. Yeah, let's see what we can do for. Oh, sorry. This is I'm reading the comments on my Twitch panel. This is Clem saying, since you did that so fantastically, I knew he could help. Thank you. We'll see what we can do. Meth's classed as a stimulant. Isn't it interesting? It's not a psychedelic. It's a stimulant. Drugs are bad, kids. Yes. So I'm up to here now. Crocodile, I mean, there really is no safe drug. There's no safe chemical either. You can die of water toxicity. Crocodile had a what was Crocodile's thing? Oh, was that one? Like picking holes in your skin until you got down to the bone. Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, yeah. Don't OD on Crocodile. Nothing is safe. Some drugs are kinder than others. Let's put it that way. But that means that you can OD on them more easily. So never underestimate them is another thing. Nicotine, classic. Yeah. Well, that's the legal fix, isn't it? I prescribe some LSD. This has just become a drug ring. You can't OD on love. um, Clem is saying that she's coming down. Difficulty sleeping, and this is coming down. Headaches, dizziness, blurred vision, paranoia, hallucinations, and confusion. Inability, irritability, and feeling down. So the sort of down you get on a crystal meth down is different from other drugs, and the sort of hallucinations you get, I imagine, would be different as well. Instead of like the colourful, playful, scary, psychedelic mess that a hallucinogen would offer, the down on a stimulant may be more paranoid. So if we're gonna stick with a crystal meth down, we should probably introduce a bit of paranoia into the mix as well. Where can we do that? Yeah, I'll go through and I'm gonna highlight in light red number 1. Mwah! Beautiful. Just some points that I can think of that, no, it doesn't look good with the green, does it? That looks better. Some points at which we can inject a bit of, like, crystal meth paranoia. Shining into the sunshine looks wrong to me because of the repeated shine. Yeah, I agree, I agree. Let's deal with the word-by-word stuff once we get, the developmental stuff fixed first, and then we can go through line by line and look at like the different word choices. Yeah, I agree. That's a really good, and like looking up into things as well. I noticed needs to be sort of fixed a little bit. Raise a blah. Okay, cool. So there are a couple of points here that I've highlighted in blue that I've just sort of picked, not really at random, but points at which she interacts with the cop, or a couple of interesting things happen. So the kind of hallucination she'd experience would, at its trippiest, be like strange shapes coming, but the kind of hallucinations that probably fit the story a bit better for her crystal meth down would be paranoia. You can inject paranoia a couple of ways. So the cruiser pulls up next to the curb, the black and white paint shining in the sunshine. So let's start to look at the word choices now. Subtle changes to normal sentences can imply paranoia. The cruiser pulled up beside the curb, the black and white paint roaring in the sunshine, for instance. Like if you change it with something that's a bit unusual and a bit more animalistic, a bit more guttural, what this does is it starts to paint an emotional image of what your story is going to be like and what the details are like. So we do two birds with one stone here. Not only do we do the real Sayaka's suggestion of getting rid of shine and shine, which is very good, but we also put in a word that adds a bit of essence into the paranoia. Let me go back and have a read of chat. Excuse me. Rainbow vomit of yellow. Yeah, so Sayaka asks, would unreliable narrative fit into this story? It's difficult because the narrator isn't one of the characters. But what you can do is you can embody one of the character's perspectives into the narrator and have them unreliably narrate. You can do it. It's a bit more subtle. I like to do that. But it's difficult to pull off unless you have a specific consistent style. I don't know. We'll see. I didn't see any semicolons yet, actually. Personify everything. When in doubt, just personify everything. What could go wrong? Nothing. Nothing can go wrong. The cruiser pulled up next to the code, the black and white paint roaring in the sunshine. Heat. So radiated off the back of the car is a very scientific way of talking about heat diffusion. Just personify it. Thank you, TTICC. Just personify everything. It's good advice. He breathed off the back of the car is a bit of an unusual thing, though. So we want, like, heat, washed off, slooshed off, heat, poured? Yeah, I don't mind poured. You can put your own word in here that you think might sort of enhance the animal nature of it, causing you around to shift and morph into strange shapes. Now, here is a very good opportunity for you to define what kind of hallucinations your main character is having. So for instance, if they were in an LSD trip, you could write something like, can I suggest one thing? Could the cruiser be further back, and could it come into her line of vision? The reason why I suggest this is that it gives you more time to establish the scene before the characters start talking. I like how immediate it is, but if you just give it a little bit more time to approach from a distance, and also another opportunity to make it a bit more unreal. So the cruiser. I'm gonna try this. Morphed. I don't want to use the word unreality. You should watch the car approach the... I'll get rid of this and put the focus more sort of on the car itself. Sorry for I don't usually like to rewrite people's writing too much. I think this is only because you asked for a like, how do you imbue the writing with a bit more of a sense that it's unreal, a sense that it's your character is coming down off a high and they're hallucinating. This is probably the trippiest you should go until you introduce a more sort of paranoid version of Tammy a bit later. Okay, so here's how you introduce paranoia. This is up to you, Clem, whether or not you like this, if you decide to do it. I love having an objective third-person narrator declare stuff onto characters. This isn't everyone's taste, but I love it. I love doing this because it makes the story feel... How to put it? I don't know. The advantage of doing something like this, it is death coming for you, dear girl. You can get rid of a dear girl if you don't like it. It's also, strictly speaking, second person, but what it does is it solidifies and crystallizes something inside Tammy's mind that the narrator echoes. It's not the case that the narrator is talking to the character. They're not. That's not the point of a sentence like this. The point of a sentence like this is it's exactly the same as writing it's coming to take me away. I put a semicolon here, don't worry. Pipe. It's exactly the same as doing this. Any one of these three elements here tell you the same thing in a bit of a holistic sense. It's coming to take me away. Internal character dialogue. Tammy knew that whatever beast sat inside that cab would take her away. Classic third-person narration. It is death coming for you, dear girl. Strictly third person, maybe second person, if you can confuse it for that. Up to you. Can't see the suggestions. Oh no. Are you in the same document? I'm in the document that you sent to me by email, Clem, so you're more than welcome to jump in. This is the one that you sent over email. Apologies for not, oh gosh, it's been about 5 minutes since I checked that. Sorry, guys. Cool, change it will. Where is... Sayaka says, mentioning that we're in a desert should come first. I'll speak about that in a tick. Yeah. I think Clem's answered before about, so she says she left the desert out on purpose so that the reader would focus first on the cop car and then have the scene resolve around the central element, which I think is a decent way to do it. Sayaka says that she thought the detail popped in, which is the downside of doing the camera focus style that way. Hmm. Ooh, story's my playground. I can do anything I want. Yeah, exactly. So you can choose which one works. Yeah, it's I think it's something that I do a fair bit. I don't even see it as second person, to be honest. I just see it as a third person. Um, but stylistically, it is a bit of a left turn. So in that regard, you just pick one and go for it. But any one of these, I think, would work. Yeah. No, that's an awful suggestion, Sayaka. Um, let's talk a bit about what you guys were talking about there before about the idea of having character details pop in. That's something that I... You're not sorry, you do it again. You do the same thing again given half a chance. Um... Ooh. Clem, just confirm, you have access to this story, yeah? Oh, you wouldn't be. Oops, suggesting... Two suggestions. If you want to go down, okay, you're on mobile now. Gotcha. You sure did. Yep. That's okay. That's okay. I can't judge. That's the kind of thing that I'd overlook too. Um... Alrighty. There are two things you can do here with the opening scene that well, takes it into sort of different perspectives, I guess. What I'm glad this is an emoticon. I like that meme. The first perspective you can take is probably what I think Sayaka would lean into. Maybe I would too. Is the idea of establishing where your character is in a physical sense before the cruiser comes. So, for example, your opening sentences could be, something like Tammy's on the side of the road. Her skin's burning. Her tongue feels like a piece of sandpaper sanding the top side of the roof of her mouth. She's dehydrated. She's confused. She's on the middle of a desert road with what kind of store is she sitting in front of again? Sorry, I forgot. She's sitting in front of a specific kind of store. We should address that early on too. So you can start with like a a more, I guess, robust image of where we are. Set up the stage like, and then that way we're not so sort of confused when the elements come in a bit later. The other thing you could do is you could do what you've done here, but bleed it in with the introduction of the elements too. So you'll notice that I changed the first sentence from the cruiser pulled up next to the curb. So here's what it was originally. The cruiser pulled up next to the curb, the black and white paint shining in the sunshine. Heat radiating off the back of the car causing to shift and morph into strange shapes. Psycho raises a really good point here, which I agree with. We don't know where we are. We only start to know here, which is okay, like it's fairly quick, but why not nip it in the bud and combine them? The cruiser morphed in from the horizon, a blob of black ink, whatever, so like, I don't like a blob of black ink. I don't know, whatever. Rolling slowly towards her from the grey dust of a desert. So immediately we have what you want, or what you're going for, Clem, which is the focus on the car, and also the setting. Just bam, in one sentence. If you can pull this off, it'd be quite effective and full of motion. In the sunshine, Tammy saw, okay, here's how you could change it further. From her... From her position, slumped against the curve. From her viewpoint. These two sentences here mix elements of both things that we're trying to go for. Focus on the cruiser, but also establishing the setting. Establish the setting, and still focus on the cruiser. Heat poured off and radiated around the car, haloing the vehicle with firestorm of ships and shadows. Maybe she squinted her eyes, she could see the 4 horsemen apocalypse over the cruiser. That's a mirage. Here on a desert road with beige-coloured sand and rocks and stones, it goes for miles. This implies that there's literally nothing beside her too. So if you want to introduce like the fact that she's got shop fronts nearby, introduce it here rather than later. I think this is a blend of both style suggestions, but it's up to you, Clem, if you want to pursue a more... Here's the stage, here's the action, versus this thing that rolls them together. Completely up to you. I won't tell you which one you should and shouldn't do. I want you to show me. I want you to show me what you can do with either one of those. Yeah, glob droplet would actually be better, actually, for... I like glob. Let's do glob. A globulate. Let me go back and look at chat. Yeah, I can't scroll this one here. It's a dead panel, so I have to turn my attention to the second monitor, where you guys live over here. Nail salon, that's it, yeah. Yeah, I agree actually. Like on to the extent that you want to introduce interesting elements, I don't think you want to make it confusing for your reader. You never want to make the start confusing. You want to give them a clear sense of the confusion you bring, if that makes sense. So in that regard, this is, I think, a decent blend of confusion. What's missing from this? What do you think is missing from this? It's actually something Sayaka mentioned when she wrote. That's a good suggestion in terms to blending things together. You don't need to say she's in a desert at the start, but you can just describe it. Mention how dry it is, and the reader can figure it out. Definitely. It's really good. And the one thing that flows on from that suggestion, but that's missing from this, is an indication of how she's feeling. This sentence here may hold the key to that. From her viewpoint, slumped against the curb, Tammy saw the black and white paint roar in the sunshine. Or you can even put it here. It's up to you. Like, you don't want to... I'm trying to think out where to put it. If you put it here, you break up the... It's difficult to pick a point, actually, isn't it? You probably want to go here. Exactly. That's partly why I suggested the horseman, because it's like it's a foreshadow. Yep, I agree. Cardos to vanilla. Yep. So from her viewpoint, slumped against the curb. Um. that's sort of how you'd introduce. You have to sort of break it up and expand it a little bit. It's not the best example of what I can offer, but what this does do is it sort of slows things down and I guess gives it a bit more. How do you say? Immediacy to it. From her viewpoint, slumped against the curve, Tammy traced the mark of the black dot with bleary eyes. Desert air washed over, cutting over sunburnt skin, drying her throat to paper and ash. I don't like this. Uh, oops, it just went there. This is in relation to Sayaka's suggestion about if you say desert, we know it's a desert. It defeats the objective of a suggestion. You do need to clarify though that we are in. Oh, we've already said it's a desert, so yeah. If you don't say desert, we could confuse this for lots of other hot places, or hot and dry places. You don't strictly have to be in a desert for it to be hot and dry. It helps. But when you say it's a desert, people would usually assume that it's barren as well, as opposed to being like an urban area that's hot and dry. So it's useful just to declare it as a desert. Tammy felt XY feelings. I'm trying to steer away from Tammy feels X, Tammy feels Y. Because they're declarative, and that doesn't strictly help with getting a sense of really how she's feeling. Tammy feels like crap. Okay, but like what sort of visceral detail of that crapness is making her feel like she's crap? And I think that's why I like this instead of just being like, Tammy's throat feels sore. This is explaining why it's sore, I guess. Jesus Christ, I'm going to die heat. Set on the sun. Many roads and cars on the sun. Saliva turning to ashes in her mouth is good. Yeah, that's a good suggestion. I'm gonna put that in here. Yep. Yes, that is her effect. I did. You can repeat stuff like that in phrases, and it kind of doubles the meaning. That's a personal stylistic thing preference. But if you don't like that, just get rid of it and split it into two. A special kind of motion, a special kind of heat. If you like that, you can keep it. If you don't, you can just discard it. Yes, bonnet to hood. Sorry, I forget that this isn't. Actually, if this is set in North America, it would be hood. Yeah. What did I put? I put bonnet, didn't I? Whoops. Hood. Oh, Americans with their language. I'm true neutral. I have no allegiance to any country. You speak true words about superior Australian English. It's the best of both worlds. Excuse me for 1 second. Okay, I think we've established here just some suggestions of how we can add a couple of things to work on. What were we doing? We were trying to introduce a couple of elements of the anti-real, making it a bit more surreal, like a hallucination. Adding some elements of paranoia, just a few. Grounding the scene so that we know where we are and how Tammy's feeling. I think they're the sort of things that we've managed to work in here. We've expanded it a little bit, not too much. Often it only takes 1 or 2 sentences to introduce ideas. I think something I discovered a few years ago when I was going back over a couple of stories I'd written was that I had these impressions that I wanted to leave in the story. And I was thinking, oh, I'm gonna have to rework the whole chapter. It's gonna be crazy to try and do it. And then I discovered that changing 1 or 2 sentences or adding a sentence or 2 in is often enough to really solidify what it is that you're trying to convey. You don't have to go overboard, just it's like a light touch. I don't know. And ever since I've sort of discovered that, I haven't been worried about changing the impressions of meanings of paragraphs. You go in surgically and change it. I guess it just takes practice, but it becomes second nature after a while, I guess. It could be, that's a possibility. The devil could be giving me a call. Offering me some business things. Exactly, that's what we did. Okay. I actually agree, I think it is time to move on. Good. So the driver's side door opened noisily, pulling her away from her thoughts. A moment later, a police officer climbed out of the car. His black shirt was clinging to his rotund stomach, covered in sweat, and his blue pants were too tight for his size. Dark shades covered his eyes and framed his square face. Both of his hands resting on his utility belt, he walked over to the girl curled up on the curb. He towered over her, shady beast, in a bright world of blue and yellow. One thing I noticed about this paragraph here is that the focal points sort of changed a little bit. This first page feels like it's told from the perspective of a character that's hovering over Tammy. This paragraph here feels as though it's... how to say... feels like the narrator has moved a little bit and is currently standing over the cop. The paragraph structure is very nice. My compliments, Clem, on your paragraph structures. Yes, take note. Take note, Sayaka. I'm not gonna name names, but Sayaka, look. Actually, that being said, with this one here, like that's the kind of length of a paragraph that would be acceptable for an opener. And sure, you can cut it up with like internal character dialogue, but that's like spoken dialogue too. Yeah, curled up on the curb. That's what I tried to introduce here, slumped against the curb. Yep, so I wanted to put that back further up as well. Cool. Let's fix it then. So I think there's a way to change that perspective around a little bit. Nah, I don't want to climb a tower, human fat. That's a bit mean. Apologies. She looked up at ooh, you know what I'm also not doing? I'm not suggesting. The driver's side door opened noisily, pulling her away from her thoughts. I'm gonna get rid of pulling her away from her thoughts. Let's change it from was clinging to clung. I'm gonna get rid of he towered over a shady beast in a world, a bright world of blue and yellow. This is a good description, but the reason why I highlighted it was that it was an opportunity for you to introduce an idea into a reader's mind, and it's that Tammy distrusts him instantly. You don't have to carry through with that idea, but you want to get a sense that the narrator is describing the character in a way that reflects Tammy's insecurity about him. Let's read through this again. The driver's side door opened noisily. I don't care about the LY thing, like noisily, clankily, whatever. And Tammy watched as the cop struggled to lift his weight from the car. Something about him unnerved the girl, something in the way he moved to her, bent down just a fraction over her form, the way his huge mass blocked out the death ray sunshine. Who was he, this thing covered in sweat, his blue pants too tight for his thighs? Dark shades covered his eyes, and screamed, oh, so we can just say dark shades over a square face. Run-on sentence, that's fine. Both his hands, with both his hands resting on his utility belt, he... What are you doing here? What's your name? Something like that, for instance. Instead of describing him with block descriptions, which I didn't mind before, sometimes it's good to do it with characters. This way you convey the same detail, but you undercut it with this. You can sometimes just outright declare things and then follow it up with I suppose, a justification. You probably have seen me do this before when I talk about like the 1-2 punch, where you tell and then you show a detail. I like seeing that because to me it signifies that you can outright declare something and then follow it up with that justification. It's really useful for not only for painting an image, but colouring it with emotion. This sets the temperature of everything that comes after it, and I think that's why it's useful there. I'm also repeating with something, which I did up here, a special kind. You don't have to keep that style going, it's just a suggestion of how it flows together, up to you. A 10-foot needle of weird. That's a really cool description. That's true, TTLACC. I apologize to the towers out there, my loyal tower ship fans. Whether you're made of brick or stone or ivory, I don't, it doesn't matter to me. I love you equally. Like anime girl, I know. Ooh. Ooh, Clem, you can do something interesting here. Just off the back of what we were doing with Sayaka's story the other day, why don't you, if you want to be really adventurous, here, you could do something cool. You can get the cop to draw the gun and point it right at MC's face, then have the scene snap back over itself and replay normally. So how you do that is a bit like this. Barrel. I'm not good with guns, sorry. Christopher. Nope. If you want to introduce this element, which I really suggest you do, not quite, I guess. Good movie, but it sort of dehumanizes him, makes him more animal. That's, I think, what I was going for. If you want to have a go at this, at the paranoia, maybe you can try something like this. With both of his hands resting on his utility belt, here, you put in a bit of a different scene. Tammy watched as the cop reached for his utility belt, flipped open the holster, drew the gun, and with every acid point of fear bristling over her body, the girl did nothing but spit and gargle as the beast pressed the cold metal between her eyes, kissed her forehead with the barrel. Tammy blinked. Tammy watched as the cop reached for his utility belt and threaded his thumbs through the loop. The voice of dust and gravel, he spoke, blah 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 blah. The scene repeats itself, so you anchor it with a common sentence. Tammy watched as the cop reached for his utility belt. X happens. And in the same sentence, with Y happening. And if you do that, if you do it successfully, your reader will understand that the event has flipped back on itself and continues on normally. It's useful to have a short thing in the middle, like Tammy blinked or Tammy screamed or something like that. You can even declare that the scene is repeating. So Tammy blinked, full stop, and the world reset. Tammy watched as the cop reached for his utility belt. So like, you can do it that way. This suggestion here is more about, if you want to follow through with that silly suggestion, That would be a very good way of introducing a real sense of paranoia. It would, in the reader's mind, help them to empathize with Tammy's justification for why she is upset with this cop. Cool. It's totally if you want to do it though. Like I would do it because I like scenes that don't happen. Not in a Breaking Dawn Twilight sense. You know, that's the really infamous scene where like they have the battle, everyone dies, and then it snaps back. Oh, it was a vision. That's stupid. Where it's better is if it's short. If it's short and punchy, and you don't go on forever, and then be like, oh, by the way, none of that happened. Because yeah, you feel cheated. Yeah. Oh god, no. Yeah, that's the only bit of Twilight I've ever seen, actually. I stumbled on it when I was channel surfing. I got to the part where they had that battle, and I'm like, oh, everyone's dying. And then all of a sudden they weren't. Like, oh, okay. It's very difficult to make it convincing, and you feel... your reader, your viewer, feels like they cheated. Here, however, it's justified by the paranoia. Question: when do we want to introduce the fact that she is drugged up? It's kind of implicit. We should probably sometime soon. God, I love that name. It's so cool. We should sometime soon introduce a sign that she is in withdrawal, and that would tell us that she's on drugs. Here, this could be mistaken for like delirium, so we need to solidify that it's a drug thing further down the track. Okay, so what are you doing here? What's your name, girl? I'm gonna get rid of this because we've added this detail above. Slowly, she sat up on the curb and brought her knees to her chest, wrapping her arms around her legs. Every inch of her skin screamed out in agony. She moved. Had been cool. That's fine. She probably would be a bit more fearful of him. Something like this would help us soften the movement as it goes into Tammy reacting. TLL, she replied, her voice rasped, her throat parched. You can get rid of that full stop here and put raspy. Rasped is a funny word. You can use rasp, actually. That's interesting. Except we've got verb, noun here. Oh, sorry. Sorry, it's an adjective. What am I talking about? You got a verbal description, verb description, and an adjectival description. Are those even words? Maybe. Like, verbal and adjectival. I'm just making stuff up. That's what I do here. I project confidence. And everyone comes and says, ooh, very, very good, Lyrebird. It's like, heh, I don't know what I'm doing. Her voice, I'm going to suggest raspy, her throat parched. That way you match the adjectives, and it's a little less, clunky? I don't know. It's smoother. Tammy Lynn the Cop repeated, chuckling. Can I call you Tammy? Can you get away from the road for a sec, please, Tammy? Call me Trip. Can I suggest, my name is like, have it a bit stronger. My name is Trip. So cool. I want this name. Behind it was a nail salon. This is a great example of declunkify. That'd be good too, Sayaka, yeah. Her voice rasped, her throat parched, begging for a trace of water. This is also good too. Copy that and put it as a comment here, Sayaka suggests. I don't mind the repetition of her. She replied to first. Yeah, just what TTLICC said here, it comes across as heat stroke, doesn't it? And it could be easily confused as such, so we can slowly double bait. No, it's a bait and switch, isn't it? You introduce the idea that she's delirious, but then slowly massaging the idea that she's actually on drugs. I think that's reasonable. Yes, you can. That's what we're going to try and do, Sayaka. It's just a matter of figuring out where to put in. Maybe here. Behind her was the nail salon. Probably introduce this element at the start rather than here. Also, this implies that she's in a small town rather than on the side of the road in the middle of nowhere. So just clarify the scene. Yeah, this implies it's in a more built-up environment. Cool. Very good, very good. I'm glad you remembered that. Yeah, yeah. I used to call it the black bag effect. We can rename it Scarface's parrot now. Yeah, both are good. Both are good. For the classic viewers, you can remember it as black bag, and for the more modern version of that is Scarface's parrot. Exactly. Yep. Remember TTLACC we were going to have that list of like Lyrebird memes? We never got around to making one, did we? Like in terms of like written memes, not actual memes with my face on it. Which, by the way, I've been very impressed by. I've been sort of like when I go onto the Discord and I see everyone's comments, like it's really funny, and it'd be nice to have it sort of live as well. But I do appreciate it, even if we're separated by many hours. There have been some really good ones. But yeah, remember we were going to have that like document full of like little coded things. Actually, TTLCC, did we end up making one? I thought we did. Let me search through my docs. Memes do die, that is true. Maybe we should let sleeping memes lie. What is that expression? Let sleeping dogs lie? Yeah, let sleeping dogs lie. That's a good idiom, that one. What do you call this? Is it an idiom? Yeah, it's idiomatic. Yeah. Whoa. Damn, 13th century. This is an old meme. Like, you think poker dads are old memes and rage comics? No, this is like let sleeping dogs lie. That is old. Old people memes. I think we bring people up to speed pretty quickly, don't we? Yep, I agree. Let's push forward. I don't think we need... here I'm going to suggest probably putting in the... semicolon. No. So we're gonna call it trip from now on. Here's where I put something that indicates that she's on drugs. This doesn't declare it outright, but if you're a savvy reader, I don't like using the word savvy. It's my pet peeve, that word. But you should be able to pick up on the fact that if you're repeatedly like raking your arm like that, it's a drug thing. Derailing livelihood. Yeah, no, I've noticed that tonight too. Syke has been very much like, no, Lyrebird, no, come on, edit, focus. I don't mind people corralling me back into the edits. I think that's reasonable. That's what we're here for. I don't mind on her ass, on her ass. Yeah, I think it's fine. I think it adds a bit of character to the narration. But maybe other people don't like it. I don't mind it. Yeah, I think it's shuffling on your bum, that sort of thing. The reason why I'm repeating the she here, it looks ugly, doesn't it? It looks bad. And I think sometimes your writing can be ugly. If it's talking about an ugly thing. This isn't a nice sentence, is it? As Real Psycho said, she sniffed, blinking hard, scratching away. This also works too because it's matching all of its phrases in equal chunks. That's really nice. Or if the skin gets ashy. Yeah, that too. This is just a suggestion here. But it is ugly, isn't it? I reckon you should make it ugly on purpose. Repeating she looks bad. And I think it, in some ways, helps the sentence. But whether or not that fits, and whether or not it's a thing that we can continue on in the future, we'll see. CuddlyClem, you're more than welcome to not use that. You're welcome to do what Sayaka did. Or if you have another way of thinking about an ugly way of writing it. In fact, even if you just made them 3 terrible short sentences, I'd be happy with that. This implies fidgetiness. Man, that looks bad, doesn't it? But you want that for a description that feels bad for the reader and for the character too. That sort of weird kind of empathy. I don't know. Does that work? Maybe. Not sure. I think it's just practice, Sayaka. Like, it's not so much that... They do look awful, yeah. But I think you want them to look awful. Anyway, that's my justification. But it's your call. You can do it in a multitude of ways. It's just a suggestion. And I agree. I think the short sentences do work here. Red peeling patches of skin, which I think TTLACC said ashy. I suggest front-ending the dialogue. That's just... My name is Trip, T-R-I-P-P. We've got quite a bit of gentle here. He asked gently. You can make gentle sinister too, right? You can add a bit of aggression into that gentleness. I don't know. Alright, the cop said in that all too soothing voice of his, like silver and poison mixed together, too smooth. When was he supposed to pick you up? How long have you been waiting? How long have you been waiting? Trip's throat. Get rid of started to, and just put in... burned. She tried to swallow but failed, her mouth like sandpaper. You got any water? Tell me how long you've been out here, the cop said, and I'll give you the water then. You can put said here, it's fine. She tried to think. She rubbed her dirty, cracked hands over her face and tugged her fingers through her knot of frizzy red hair. Eventually she looked at the cop and shrugged. I don't know. Front end the dialogue here. And get rid of these. He was supposed to be 11 what time is it? Cop frowned. It's Sunday afternoon, Tammy. An automatic story generator. That's interesting that you say that, Cuddly Clem. Like, just the conventions of one bleeding into the other. Yeah, must be hard to kind of switch off, I guess. Slivered off his tongue could be also good. Or this thing here, something down there. Yeah, adding a bit of animal sense to it. I like that suggestion. Yep, that's good too. You can keep that going. What we've got here, I think, is more vanilla. So, Cuddly Clem, if you want to incorporate some of these suggestions here, you can start to personify the cop a bit more in a way that's more, how to put it, animal-like. He calls her Tammy here. You can get the narrator to double and echo her thoughts here. Tighten around her lungs doesn't necessarily need to be said. You can just tighten fast. Same effect. No, she said. Yeah. Get rid of said sadly. And just put no, no, he wouldn't leave me like that. Look, let's get you in the cruise in the shade, and we can get you home, the cop said, reaching his hands out to her. That's okay too. I prefer it to be at the front, but that's okay. Well, here is when the panic should rise. I guess Tammy is sort of wavering in and out of the trust of this cop, is what I imagine. I guess Clem would have to answer that question. If Tammy is really distrusting of this police officer, then these sorts of descriptions in blue and what we've been putting in need to sort of lean a little more into that lack of trust, into that fear and panic, which culminates in this. He was going to put her in the cruiser. You got up twice here, so get rid of one. He wasn't really muscle, was he? Muscle was sweat. You can start to ramp up the panic and paranoia using something like this to repetitions of simple sentences with repetitions of pronouns. That builds up a bit of panic. Just a suggestion too. We need to be a bit more, I guess, consistent about the type of paranoia that's injected into this as well. If it's unreal paranoia or if it's based off of his description, we can kind of blend them together a bit more. Ah, she's got meth in her pocket. Interesting. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Oh, Juxtaterrestrial, wow, it's been ages, hasn't it? Isn't that crazy? We exist on the internet at the same time. It's been ages since I've seen you. How are you going? Welcome back. We're I think we're probably, it's been after 11 my time, 11 a.m. How have you been? Have you been writing? Have you been doing good things? Wow, Juxtaterrestrial was with me from stream number 1, back almost a year ago. So yeah, the OGs, yes. Wow. Yeah, welcome back. Hope you've been well. How's your story going? Have you been working more on it? Hmm. Nice. Congrats. Is that the whole story? Or just like the first couple of chapters? Either way, well done. 90k words, well done. That's really impressive. How are you feeling about it? You happy? I mean, you must be over the moon to get the draft done. That's a really good achievement. Oh, well done. Fantastic. We're editing the CuddlyClementine's story today. I should probably wrap up the stream soon, actually, so she can get to sleep, and everyone else can go off and do things. I'm sorry to sort of wind down just as you're coming back. I stream at 9 a.m. my time on Sundays. It's currently 11 a.m. in Sydney on a Sunday. So if you've got time, you're more than welcome to join us next week. Yeah. Oh, that's a good attitude to have, actually, you know? Wanting to make it the best it can be. Good, good. No, that shows real passion for what you do, you know? Is when you finished, but you're like, I want to make it better. That's a good attitude to have. Cuddly Clem, how you feeling? You want us to go a little more, or are you sleepy? Ah, you're playing D&D, nice, nice. You can always catch up as well. I now double stream to YouTube, so you can go on there and look at the replays if you like, and they don't burn themselves like Twitch videos do. Yeah, even if you can't make it, you can be within the Lyrebird spirit, I guess. Wide awake. Okay, well, let's push forward a little bit. Let's do like another 15 minutes. What do you reckon? Um, yeah, I'll pop back to your story if you'd like me to do so, Sayaka. I might finish off Clem's story in the next stream, but then I'm more than happy to go back and look at yours. Because I haven't got anyone else in the queue. Whoa. I'll listen to it. Cool. Nice. It's probably just good to have on the background, isn't it? I think some people... Hedge did that as well, Hedge Littman, when he was watching my stream. He said that he, like, put them on his radio and just listened as he was driving around places. Yeah, cool. Yeah, I'm more than happy to go back and take a look at your story if you'd like me to. But I'll finish off Clem's first. So let's do a little more editing then. So we've got... Yeah, just be careful here about things like, yeah. You know what to look out for. As you said, it's just your ghostwriting brain coming into your other writing. X, said Hermione dryly. Yeah. Oh, cool. I didn't know that. Nice. Okay, cool, yeah. That's pretty much what I do, yeah. My secret is revealed. I just go to Destructive Readers and ask people there. Which I think is good, because everyone's after feedback on Destructive Readers, and yeah, it's like a nice sort of farming ground for me to get stories. Okay. Hey Meg, you're right, this stream could use some more gratuitous metaphors about the human condition. Well, lay it on us, just paste to your will. Tell us about the human condition and all the woes and wonders. We'll do. We'll do, Sayaka. But also, yeah, write down some notes about what in your story you're having trouble with, and then when I go back to edit it, you can tell me, I'm having trouble with X, Y, Z, and then we can focus on them. That might be handy. That's good. Universe is nothing like a rug. Yeah, so she said harshly, he said gently. Um, you're burned up. You can't sit out here in this heat. He paused, looking her over. You're an El Paso. You know that, right? It's hot here. We feel skin. Cobb inhaled through his mouth, the air hissing through his teeth. This is a good opportunity for you. I'm going to just highlight it. And say, inhaling through his mouth, exhaling through his teeth. That could be a really good opportunity for you to make it sound like he's death rattling, or it sounds unreal, like a weird sort of animal. But I'll let you do that, Clem. I'll let you come in with your own imagination and your own sense of if you'd like to expand that out to make it a bit more panicky, a bit more unreal. Lady, you're gonna die out here. He may have a duty of care to take her to a hospital, in this heat. So perhaps consider mentioning it. Okay, yeah, gotcha, yeah. Also, thanks for telling me how to do that, over on Discord. Yep, cool. So I'll go back and look at them. Otherwise, just make your own Google Docs and write down, I'm having trouble with 1, 2, 3. But if you want me to look at specific points too, then I'll do what you suggested. I'll go back and look at the paste the comments over. Now I don't know how to do it. Hermione and Ron. I don't know if I always think of Harry Potter when I think of said a character this way. I don't know why. Dexterrestrial also, this is news for you and other people who maybe not be aware. I have a Discord if you'd like to pop over and say hello. Right now the Discord has been experiencing some pretty high octane memery with my face being superimposed into lots of different memes. But we also talk about other things too, not just memes. And writing things as well. So please feel free to join. The link is on the Lyrebird Edits Twitch homepage. You just go there and you click on the big Discord button. If for some reason you're watching this on YouTube, and I don't think you are, is it a single watcher on YouTube? Hey, someone joined. Yeah, same goes for you on YouTube. I've got a Discord. In the description of the YouTube video, there's a link to my Twitch. Go onto the Twitch, and on the Twitch you'll see the link to the Discord. You know what? I should just have a link to my Discord on my YouTube video. But no one watches on YouTube anyway, like only 1 or 2 people do, very occasionally. I use it for archives, that's all I use it for. CuddlyClem, what on earth is that? Hej-san? What language is that? Do you? Oh, of course, yes, you're Lee Everett. Yeah, gotcha. Yeah. You're my first YouTube commenter. Exactly, it's all for posterity. Yeah, I think except for you and that guy called Goku a couple of weeks ago, no one comes on YouTube. Oh, sad. It's just I don't know if YouTube has its sorting algorithms and search algorithms optimized for things like this. Are they really? That's interesting, but less laggy. Huh. Hey, Fictitious 1267. Do I ever do synopses? I did once, yeah. Someone had their fantasy story with, before chapter 1, they had like a little 100-word summary of a story, and they wanted me to look through that as well. Yeah, I do. If you've got a synopsis that you'd like me to look at, send it through. And I can take a look at it over the stream. That'd be a nice thing to do as well, because it takes up a very short amount of time. I mean, I can move on to other people's work. My email is on my Twitch dashboard, or you can send it through to me on my Discord. I'm happy to do that too. Discord link is also on my dashboard. Ah, cool, that's Swedish. Nice. Synopses are very, very interesting pieces of writing. You have to make them perfect. They're really difficult to do. And then blurbs as well. Blurbs are slightly different to synopses. We can go into the details of how they're different next stream, but if you've got a blurb as well that you want to take a look at, please do. Please send it over. Okay. Send it over when it's finished, and we'll take a look at it. Nice. They're difficult, aren't they, Clem? I used to hate them as well. Recently, I've gotten more into them. Something clicked in my head, and I figured out how to do it a bit better. But they're still really difficult. It's so hard. Yeah. He may have a duty of care to take her to the hospital, that's what I was getting here. Trip knew what she needed to do, there's no time to waste either. She jumped up to her feet. I'd consider getting her to stand slow. Feigning amenability? Feigning acquiescence. And then running. Using the wall behind her to steady herself, and then she ran. The cop wasn't expecting it, so she had a few seconds head start, and it wasn't a lot though. He was already chasing her, sprinting after her with all the stuff and his utility about jingly and jangly. I don't mind that actually, I quite like that simple description. Trip had the advantage of less weight and less equipment, but she was also dehydrated and exhausted. This is quite a... very straight sentence. You could say the same thing in a way that's more like Trip felt her body protest like a same with this sentence too, actually. I'm gonna take this comment, cut it, and then paste it into this. Yeah. This detail is fine to conclude at the end there. It didn't take her long for her head to start to swim and her legs to turn to jelly. Everything was spinning out of control, whizzing past her in uneven circles, over and over and over until everything went dark. And that's where we left up with today. So I think I'm going to start there, and then next stream we'll continue on from here, push forward and work our way into the conclusion. Libo procrastinates. I don't procrastinate too much. Not too much. Oh, too real. Too real. Ouch. I'm not gonna touch that one. That's a very weighty topic. Yeah. I'm just what's the expression my friend used to say? Breaking necks, cashing checks. You know that's what it is. It's the business world, you know. You have one of those 80s brick style phones and you're shouting to some guy in the New York Stock Exchange like, come on, Sammy, you gotta sell. You gotta sell, buy, sell. It's basically what I'm doing right now with my life. Libo waffles. Sounds like a franchise. Would you go to Libo waffles? would you buy my waffles? That sounds awful. It doesn't sound nice. Okay, I don't think I'm gonna ever become a waffle purveyor. I think I'm gonna have to go and smash some protein. Good memory. Good memory. Yes. I'm in the middle of smashing proteins actually. Yeah. Maybe later today. We'll see how we go, Juxtaterrestrial. Chicken and waffles, another bird. Yeah, what's a combination that hasn't been done yet? Lyrebird and waffles. I don't think lyrebirds would taste very good. I have a menu with 45 things on it? Damn. A cover band of Smashing Pumpkins. But we're all scientists. Ah, get it? We're a band of scientists covering the Smashing Pumpkins. Yes, thank you for everyone who stayed up well past their bedtime for this stream. Oh yeah, enjoy your car booty. Enjoy your boot sale, Sayaka. Thank you for staying around, Sayaka. And thank you for staying up for the edit. TTLICC, thank you for being here as always. Actually, for you, it's this is your day where you don't have to be up at a crazy hour to watch me. So, yeah, I'm actually glad I streamed today too, because that gives you an opportunity to not have to get up at a crazy hour to see me. So I was feeling bad at the start, but now I'm feeling good, so it's all good. Oh yeah, keep your eyes open for some vintage minions. Alright guys, thank you for joining me today. And also thanks for Juxtaterrestrial for popping in. Make as well and Fictitious. Thanks guys, it was a good stream. I'm glad we all did it. And we'll see you Wednesday. I'm going to put up an update about that. Not going to be here Thursday. Wednesday 9 PM my time. Cool. Have a good day, bye bye!